Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Bradford Osborne. I am the founder and curator of Roaring Artist Gallery. We are a fully virtual art gallery that exhibits exclusively the work of women identifying and non-binary artists. And we are here today for a quick soundbite with Rita Patel. She is one of our represented artists, and she has a very special piece in our current Audacity exhibition. And I wanted her to be able to tell the story behind it. It's such an awesome story. So I'm going to read your bio real quick, Rita, and then I'm going to hand it over to you to tell us about it.
Okay, great.
As long as she can remember, Rita Patel wanted to be an artist, but it was not until she was at Columbia pursuing a graduate degree in public health that she began painting. It was then, she says, I felt myself come alive. Then in 2006, she sold everything and moved from New York City to Michigan, following the promise of studio space. She still resides in Michigan today. Rita is still a painter at heart, but these days she incorporates the use of mixed media to create her emotional, beautiful pieces. Each is a study in the experience of art, inviting the viewer to come closer to take in all of the details. She is especially interested in the beauty in the mundane. Having a career in the health and wellness field, Rita is particularly focused on creating a positive environment by evoking feelings of well-being through her art. She says, research shows that experiencing positive emotions improves our physical health, brightens our minds, and builds our resourcefulness in ways that help us become more resilient to adversity and effortlessly achieve what we once could only imagine. All right, I think that's a great bio to start to tell this story, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. So it is kind of a nice segue reading the bio to what I want to talk about today. I also think it's appropriate because it's Mental Health Awareness Month. That's what May is about. And my piece does deal with mental health. And as my bio said, I'm really interested in health and well-being and how our experiences of art and beauty can lead us that way. So I'll share my screen to show. Okay, here we go. Actually, can you see the piece in Audacity right now?
Sorry, I had myself muted. Yes.
Okay, all right, great. So this is the piece that's in the Audacity show right now. I call them the dancing guys. And so being an artist was always a kind of guiding path for me. It's where I wanted to get to, where I was really creating the work that I wanted to create. Made a decision to do that, had the opportunity back in 2019. And I ended up getting a really severe case of frozen shoulder in my dominant side. It was quite terrible. I couldn't work as an artist and in the way that I wanted to. And I wasn't sleeping. I was in a lot of pain. I was not in a good mental state and a physical space. So I said I had to do something. So someone had gifted me these markers, and I had a bunch of index cards left over from another project. And I started drawing with my left hand. And actually, I will skip to this image. I did all of these with my left hand. When I stop sharing the screen, I'll show the big stack that I accumulated. And I call them the left-handed portraits. And just taking a step back, I never thought that I could draw. I mean, a lot of people assume that if you're an artist that you can draw. And I just never felt that that was something I could do naturally. So it's kind of interesting that that's what I started doing with my left hand. And I think those stakes were pretty low. So I was just doing it to do something. And as I was creating these portraits, I realized that they weren't quite happy, and they weren't quite, well, some of them looked a little sad. But I started thinking there's all these emotions that we don't know how to put words to. And these images were helping me tell that story of things are not bad. They're not terrible, but not great. So I call these the middle emotions. And then I'm a surface pattern designer. I'm a print designer also. So I moved on to these guys, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so you can see. And they were originally drawn like in black and white, and then I colored them in later on, much later on, a year later. But I, I wanted to just experiment with pattern actually on a body. So again, these are with my left hand, and while I'm not feeling well, in a lot of pain, and I noticed that like all their arms are up, and to me that was a little bit I don't know, hopeful and joyous. And I was starting to feel like I was getting not somewhere in the sense of like productivity, but like, oh, there's something unfolding here, where just with simple line drawing that I have the ability to express a lot of feeling. And I also found them a little bit funny, and I do focus a lot on beauty in terms of what I talk about and my work, but they a big part of who I am is funny, and so this just by experiencing this and putting this on paper, it's kind of brought it to life. And then I've taken these characters give me so much joy, so I've taken them and even made them into little magnets that I keep on my office magnetic board, and I'm starting to conjure up different stories around them, like what's really happening. Like if I zoom out a little bit here, you know, I imagine all these people are at a party, some are going, some are coming. What kind of music are they dancing to? I find the whole thing magical because it didn't start from any sort of thought other than I have to do something to keep myself connected to art and even movement, because that movement alone with my left hand drawing, even though it was my right side, was still painful. And it's amazing what comes out of you when you put your hand into motion. So I there's a book called The Thinking Hand, and it's this idea that in the book, one of the ideas is that your hand can reach into your subconscious, and what comes out is not something you could plan with another part of your brain. And it goes deep, and it's a really interesting way, I think, for any of us to experience ourselves. But for me, I still look back at what I've drawn, and I'm amazed. And I think there's a lot more here to excavate. And I really appreciate the opportunity here to share, because in the sharing itself is how I have been going deeper and seeing more and more there, and in just telling my story. So there is a third set of characters that I did. Can you see these? I don't know if you can see the new ones. No, so I'm going to stop sharing and pull those up. But before I go there, so here's the big stack of like the left-handed guys, the portraits. Here's one guy with the hat. You know, there's a time where I was doing hats. You know, it's really working on lips and ears at one point. But anyway, so I'm going to share my screen again to where I evolved to. So then I started making these guys. And they were not on paper. They were on my iPad. And I'm going to get closer up so you can see. And again, to me, they're at the carnival. And I feel like they're funny, but not necessarily fully joyful. There's some sort of story going on here. And I find that interesting. I think with all of us, we are multidimensional. And we have all those experiences all the time right below the surface of whatever we're showing, and on experiences and emotions. So I feel like this guy is a superhero, maybe. The funny thing for me is all their shoes and sometimes their socks. So, and then there's this lady, really enjoy the red and white striped boots. This one's a little bit more on the possibly sad side, or she's just not always smiling, and this is her resting face. Really appreciate her pants here. And And then there's this lady. So this one reminded me of a TV show. I think it was called Get Smart. I don't even know if they dress like this, but there's something like that in my head. And I feel like they're all like this. They're all these characters that have had these rich life experiences, and they've come together, and they have a lot to tell us. So I'm excited to tell their stories. And I don't know where all this is going to take me, but it's definitely a pivot from the work that I've been doing. So I've been taking my time with it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess the word is I'm not sure, but it's allowing myself to take the moment. Going back to these guys in Audacity, even when I was in a very low place, just to express, even again, I'm not expressing all my emotions in the moment, but maybe I am, and I don't even know it. I think has brought me to a place where I find that there could be a lot of hope if we engage in an artistic practice, an expressive practice, I should say, in trying to create something that has a little bit of joy, a little bit of beauty, a little bit of us, really, and where that could. What that can do for us. I think that's the best way to say it. And I think just doing that, and either personally or globally, dark time is an act of audaciousness, because we're being bold enough to express ourselves, and that is a sign of hope and joy. Yeah. So what else can I tell you about these guys? I don't even know.
For these ones that are created on the iPad, are they mirror imaged? Like,
yeah,
they're like butterflies.
Yeah, they're mirror image. What I was doing was really trying to figure out how to use the program, and the iPad was new, and I'm thinking, and so I think it's interesting as an abstract artist and someone who makes patterns that when I'm trying to figure out how to use something, I'm drawing like actual, people or characters or whatever. I never thought about that, but yeah, it's mirror image, and I believe it's Procreate. Yeah.
I love that. I think that adds such an interesting dimension. I love being able to see the ones that you've drawn on paper and then also the ones that you've done digitally. I mean, both are beautiful and so interesting in different ways. Thank you so much for sharing this story. I think it's a really important story. Obviously, we all, I think, in some way are struggling with mental health right now. The past 2 years have been difficult. And if you already had some issues with mental health, or you already had some physical issues, I feel like the last couple of years has completely exacerbated that.
Yeah.
And it is so inspirational to see what you did with it, what came out of that time of so much pain and difficulty. Whenever it, like, by all rights, you could have just sat down and said, well, I can't.
Right.
You did. And we can't always, but when we can, something beautiful can come out of that. And it's
yeah.
Pieces in the show.
Thank you. I have to say, I did have those moments where I just wanted to not do anything, and it wasn't a simple flow there. There was a long time where I wasn't doing anything, but I think it's really important to create for not an end product. And I think that was what was really helpful to me. And now I have, in a sense, all these buddies. I got all these friends to mirror back and help me, even now.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's a really important point, because as artists, we're constantly, I feel like, trying to make something that other people are going to be impressed by, something. And that's not always the important part. The creation part is so important. And you did create something amazing, but going into it for yourself and to get your emotions out there, like you were talking about the things that your hand can tell you that maybe you can't do. That's amazing. But I think, and I mean, in our society as well, it's very much like, oh, you're good at this. Well, how are you monetizing it?
Right, right.
And I think this is a really beautiful way to turn all of that on its head and say, this is an important aspect of art. And it really is an audacious thing to do. And I just love having this piece. I was so excited whenever you decided to submit this work into that show. It's perfect.
Yeah, I urge everyone to create that, what Eve Brodsky says, the unicorn space, where you just create without a purpose. And I think a lot of depth and richness will come. Thank you for having me in the show. It just adds to the story. So thank you.
I love that you were in the show. I love that Marin Lee Martinez was our guest juror. So she's the one who actually picked this piece to be in the show. I was very hopeful she would, but she's the one who actually picked it. And she actually put a mark on there. She's like, I just love this. And it's like, I love it whenever our jurors and curators totally get the vision of what's going on. Yeah. It's a really special piece in the show. And thank you so much for coming and sharing.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it. So thanks again for having me. And I hope this inspires someone.
To see you.
Me too.
Oh, it will. It absolutely will. All right. Well, you have a wonderful day, Rita. Thank you so much.
You too. Bye, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.